Welcome to Your Inner Power with Krista. This podcast is for the deeply intuitive ones, the curious ones, and the ones who follow their own path and embrace their uniqueness. We'll chat about all things spiritual, life's adventures, and always go back to deep self-trust because it's all within you. Let's dive in. We meet again. This is episode 2 of Your Inner Power with Krista. So in the first episode, we went into really just a very brief overview around my intention for the podcast and what you're going to really hear from me and what you're going to expect from me. But now I want to talk more about me so you can get to know more about me and my spiritual awakening journey. And I mentioned in the first episode how I went from recipe content creator to Akashic Records reader, and that's all wrapped up in this story. So let's just get into it and let's go really deep, really fast because I told you that's what I like to do. Let's start off with leaving my corporate job. So I got my dream corporate job right out of college. I worked my butt off during college. Like, I did not have the typical college experience. I really had a work experience. I was constantly doing internships. I would do my classes during the evening and I would literally work all day. And it led to my dream corporate job because I interned for that job and then I was able to get a full-time position once I graduated. And that felt amazing. It was in corporate event planning, though my whole the way everything worked was a little bit difficult. It was still my dream corporate job. So I commuted about 2 hours each way on the train to New York City every day to this job. And I really loved the people that I worked with. They were awesome and we had so much fun together. And though it was difficult being in corporate events, it's not really a 9 to 5 job, but I was able to enjoy my time with the people I worked with. I learned so much. My manager was amazing. She really took me under her wing, which I'm forever grateful for. And I still implement some of the things that she taught me today. So basically you understand that I did not hate this job. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was difficult to commute, obviously, and it was long days, but I really loved what I did. It was really fun, a great environment. But there came a time when I felt the nudge to quit. So as I was doing this job, I was also working on my side hustle. And the side hustle was creating recipes and sharing them on Instagram. And I started to go viral and I started to gain traction. And brands began wanting to work with me. And they worked with me in the capacity of they would give me their product and then I would incorporate their product into a recipe and then I would be paid for it. And that just seemed like the coolest thing in the entire world to me. And it was awesome. And I had so much fun with it, but I could only really do it on the weekends. My train rides consisted of me posting and commenting and doing all that admin stuff, but I really could only create the recipes and take the pictures and all of that on the weekend. So there came a time within working this corporate job that I just felt in my heart, it was an intuitive nudge that it was time to take the jump. That if I had the time to fully devote to building this brand, then I can create something really large. But I didn't have the time because I had this other full-time job. So without that time, I couldn't create something huge. And I knew it was going to be something big. So I had to take a leap of faith and quit. And I was not in a, I guess, safe, quote unquote, place to do this. I was only making about $100 per brand partnership, if that, which is kind of crazy to think about. But I just knew in my heart that if I had the time, I could do it. And not everyone understood that around me, but that's the thing about following your intuition. Not everyone is going to understand. Not everyone is going to get it. And it's not going to make logical sense. And you can't make logical sense of it. You just have to trust in that gut feeling. So when I did the thing and I quit, I began to hustle so freaking hard. Day in and day out, I devoted myself to this business to the point where like I missed out on things. Like I was literally constantly working. Like I put my whole self into this business where it actually began to make me sick. And I started to have panic attacks because I was just so obsessed with trying to get the business. And I was outsourcing my power to these brands and trying to be quote unquote good enough. And I eventually just started having panic attacks. I remember one panic attack in particular. And I was having the panic attack and I eventually calmed down and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, this is ridiculous. I'm not having another panic attack. What am I going to do to pick myself up and help myself? Because something needs to change. And I came across a meditation challenge and understand that I have never meditated before this. Like I really didn't know anything about meditation. I just like heard that it would make you calm and I thought it could help with the panic attacks. So I was like, all right, I'll give this a try. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but this is a challenge. You had to meditate every single day and there was a meditation available every single day that was sent to your email inbox. So I decided to do it. And my life changed forever from that one meditation challenge. So, what's really interesting is that the meditation challenge did not only help make me more calm and stop the panic attacks and just help me feel more at ease in my life and find that sense of peace, but it went way beyond that. And I could have never expected this. It went really spiritual. So when I was doing these meditations, they were just guided meditations. I was having spiritual experiences. I was connecting with past loved ones. I was receiving messages and downloads, and everything just started to come online. Like, because I gave myself a second to breathe, my gifts were finally able to be revealed to me. And when I say gifts, I don't mean that I'm special in any way. We all have these abilities. We're all connected. But sometimes we're just so sucked into our lives and we don't take a second to breathe. So it's difficult to hear your intuition. It's difficult to just give yourself the space to hear those downloads, to think about something other than what is going on around you in your life, the chaos going on around you. So it is really important to give yourself the time and space, even if it's just 5 minutes, even if it's just 10 minutes, it doesn't matter, but just taking pockets throughout the day to breathe, to relax, to come into your body, to just say, I don't have to do anything right now, even if it's just a few minutes, because that's when you give yourself the time to hear those downloads and to be more connected with your intuition. I like to just drizzle in some teachings within these stories because, of course, I want this to be helpful for you, which I told you in the first episode. So I will continue to do that. Hopefully, you find these little nuggets helpful. Back to my story. All of these spiritual experiences I was having during this meditation challenge really pushed me to continue to meditate after the challenge. I continued to meditate literally every single day. Like I was hooked. And it's not that the meditations were extremely long, but they really just finally gave me that chance to connect. And once I said, yes, I want more of this, more came. Many months later, I was on a family trip and I was actually sleeping next to my mom. We were sleeping in the same bed during that trip. And I had a visitation dream. And I had visitation dreams before. So, a visitation dream is a dream from a past loved one, maybe giving a message. And I've had them before in my life, and I have given people messages, but like, I guess I forgot about that. It was just like, it's funny because it's like I knew what to do. I knew that, okay, this message was for the person in my life, and I gave them the message, but I never really went deeper until I had this extremely vivid dream. So I was sleeping next to my mom and I had this crazy, crazy dream. Like it felt so real and it was just so vivid. And it was a dream of a past loved one. And this past loved one wanted me to pass on some information to two people in my life. And I did. But the dream was so vivid that I literally woke up shaking in a pile of sweat. Like I was like, oh my goodness. And I had all this information fresh when I woke up and I wrote it all down in my notes app so I could tell the individuals about what I received. And I woke up my mom and I was like, oh my gosh, like I was just in shock by what happened. And I was also in awe of what happened. Like I also thought it was really cool. It didn't scare me at all. I just was like, just wowed by it and confused. And I knew that there was like something more here because remember, I was having all of these spiritual experiences all of the time. And then this was like the crescendo. This was like, this was it. This was now it was time for me to go even deeper. This led me to go to a medium. I never saw a medium in my life, but I was like, I need some form of answers to all of this. Like, is this real what I'm experiencing? Could she confirm some of the things that have been happening to me? I just want to know that this is what I think it is. I was doing a lot of research. I was really deep diving because I think when you go through that kind of first initial spiritual awakening, it just like cracks you open like an egg and you're like, I need more, I need more, I need more, I need more, I need more answers to what's going on. And it's so funny because these experiences are so natural, but we are so conditioned to think otherwise because of the world around us. And we come in as children so wide awake and so connected. And you hear of these stories of young children saying, oh, I see grandpa, grandpa's here. And meanwhile, grandpa's been dead for a very long time. And it's because they're open and they don't know otherwise until their gifts are shut down really and they come into this world to learn lessons and to live life and that's what happens and during this kind of reawakening or remembering journey it's just about kind of bringing those gifts back online but it's not something that's special it's not something that's so different it's not at all. It's completely normal. So when I met with this medium, she really confirmed in all of these experiences and helped me feel more comfortable within all of these experiences that I was having. And I knew this was real and I was ready for more. And she also connected me with the Akashic Records. She showed me my connection with the Akashic Records. And I told her, well, I want to go deeper within that. Do you know anyone that reads the Akashic Records? And she connected me with someone that she knew. And I wound up doing an Akashic Records reading right away. I booked in right away. And from that one reading, that's all I needed. I felt that deep connection and I received so much confirmation of who I am at a soul level in that reading. And I went right into mentorship from there to read my own records. And then eventually I was taught how to read for others. But this was just something I knew I was supposed to do. It felt so familiar It felt so natural to me. It felt like just something of a coming home of sorts. I was in my Akashic Records day in and day out and channeling. I wrote everything down. I literally have journals of information that I have channeled, and it's so crazy because, well, it's not so crazy, right? It's all natural, but it's just so cool to see that some of those things that I wrote down literally came true and like played out in the ways that I wrote down. And it's so amazing. It's just truly so amazing to see, and I'm so glad that I wrote everything down. So this is just a little tip. If you are channeling, write it down. Write it down so you have it, because you think you're going to remember, you're not going to remember. Write it down and you can reflect back on it later, because there are things that I wrote down. I'll just give you a quick example of something that I wrote down. I was still doing recipe content creation full time at that time that I was going deep within my Akashic Records. And I wrote down that my recipe content creation would eventually not fulfill me anymore, and that I would wind up doing something within spirituality. And I was preparing to do that. And when I received this information, I didn't fully get it. Like, I wasn't really ready to do that. I was just exploring within my Akashic Records, and I still loved what I did. And I just put it in my back pocket. I just wrote it down. And I mean, come on, that's all I have to say. Okay, so you get the point. So I was doing all of this behind the scenes, going deep within my Akashic Records, and then eventually I did learn to read for others. So my mentor was setting up practice sessions with people, and no one knew this within my front-facing business of recipe content creation. And I had a huge following and I was very successful. And I still have a website with my recipes, and I still add recipes to that. But now at this point, I changed my Instagram over to spirituality completely. And I have now come out as an Akashic Records reader. And that is my kind of full-time thing within Instagram and what I'm doing day to day. I still do have my website with recipes, but it's more that I'm fully focused on being an Akashic Records reader and serving people in that way. That's really like where I feel so much passion and so much gratitude for walking myself to this point, because it wasn't easy to come out in this way at all. Like, as I said, I was doing all of this on the back end and I wasn't fully out publicly, I guess you could say. Spiritually, I was not telling everyone about this. And it was like bubbling up inside of me. Like, I need to share it somehow, but like, how am I going to begin to share about this? And I'm going to go into how that kind of all played out within the next episode. I want to leave it here because I know that was a lot, and I think it's really potent, like the story about my awakening journey and just getting myself to the point of really accepting my gifts and being really excited about them. So in the next episode, we'll talk more about how I really transitioned and what that looked like and what challenges I faced within that, and how I came out the other side and I am here speaking my truth on a podcast, fully sharing, fully open. So I will see you in the next episode. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Your Inner Power with Krista. If this episode resonated with you, please leave a rating and review. This helps my podcast grow and reach new listeners. You can connect with me on Instagram at Krista Nastu. And if you're feeling called to go deeper, links to work with me can be found below. Until next time, remember, everything you need is already within.